death is the great leveller, so they say. And in Western societies, in general terms, death is viewed as a bit of a taboo subject. People generally don't like to talk about death. They like to avoid the topic completely. And often we like to turn away from things, related to death, or we try and empathise with people who are going through grief, etc. And it can be very hard. Death is a very, very hard thing. It's something that everybody has to live with. There's no escaping it. You bring someone into the world, even a small child, and at some point they are going to die. And these inescapable truths of the universe are forever and ever everlasting things that human beings have to cope with, and all sentient beings, in fact, have to contend with the fact that one day it will all come to an end. So how do Western societies treat death? Well, here's a lady from Canada, and the story here is that her child, in essence, can't get the life-saving drugs that she needs because the government can't afford to buy them from the pharmaceutical companies. So here we reach a specific fork in the road. The drugs exist which can enable a small child to continue to live their life. However, the price of said drug is too much, and no one can afford the cost, least of all the government or health service. And so this child is going to die. And just to nail this point home, and sorry to have to put you through this, but here's the child's mother in a quick clip, just demonstrating their world.
Our family is heartbroken to share that Charlie's final infusion will be tomorrow. We are processing this news, and at this time, there's just not much else I can say. I'm just really sorry, Charlie, and we love you so much.
Well, there you have a flavour of 21st century Canadian healthcare. And that's how they roll, and indeed that's how all countries around the world behave, not just Canada. All of these countries have to grapple with the extortionate costs of some treatments for a very, very small amount of unfortunate people who need medication that costs a lot of money over and above what can be afforded. Then there is always decision-making panels in virtually every country that deals with these heartbreaking decisions that ultimately have to be made. But the point remains, even with that this can't be right, that the drug companies can make a drug, and that drug can literally mean life or death to a small child. And we're in a situation where we can't afford to buy that drug from the company. And so the child's going to die. So that's one element of the first way we're going to look at this. And then, of course, to move on to the bills that have gone through the government. A couple of quite broad bills. And something that has profound repercussions, I think. So not only now it would appear, to all intents and purposes, of course the bills change or whatever it is, but it's certainly looking like at the moment that a woman will be able to terminate her pregnancy right up until the full term of the baby. So any point before a baby is born, the baby can be terminated, and that's quite a decision, I think.
And Madam Deputy Speaker, the public overwhelmingly support this change as well. I implore colleagues not to lose sight of the moral imperative here, namely vulnerable women being dragged from hospital bed to police cell on suspicion of ending their own pregnancies. This is urgent. We know multiple women are still in the system awaiting a decision, accused of breaking this law. They cannot afford to wait. We have, Madam Deputy Speaker, a once-in-a-lifetime generation, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to put an end to this in a simple and secure manner. This is the right change at the right time. I implore colleagues who want to protect women and girls and abortion services to vote for new Clause 1. Let's ensure that not a single desperate woman ever again is subject to traumatic criminal investigation at the worst moments in their lives. There must be no more Lauras and there must be no more Nicola Packers, Madam Deputy Speaker.
I don't know where that line is. I'm not sure where a fetus becomes a person. I don't know. It would seem to me that when there's a heartbeat, that for me would be the philosophical line, I suppose. But to take it to full term, a day before, an hour before, seems to me to be not right. As well as the assisted dying, I believe people should be able to die with dignity. If people are in extreme pain and they've had enough, why not give them the option? That would be humane, and I've always been behind that. And, you know, there will be mistakes made with that. There'll be Nana who thinks, oh, I'm a burden to everybody, while all of the relatives are waiting for the money from Nana's house. I'm sure something like that will go on. But in general terms, even though at the edges it'll probably go horribly wrong, I think the main thrust of it, which is ultimately, as a human being, should I have the right to decide if I want to end my time? And I think that's a basic human fundamental right. As much as I would never advocate for suicide, I think you should live your full term and go for it. But there are some situations that people find themselves in where they quite literally don't want to continue. And in those instances, it's a terrible thing for society to make those people live out their lives in agony. And the drug companies are completely out of control. So sad for that small child. Because of money. You shall die because of money is quite a thing to just witness, I think, in the modern day. But yeah, these whole things that I've seen this week have made me contemplate death from that perspective, from a public health perspective. The health system and healthcare system is not perfect. It was never meant to be. And I think ultimately we've made a stride forward, but not with the abortion thing. Anyway, thanks very much for your time.